Good evening, good afternoon, happy Wednesday. Tiffany Ingram here with eXp Realty. I'm here live with Charlemagne Armstrong, mortgage broker
Hello.
with Gold Financial. Charlemagne comes with over 20 years of mortgage industry experience. She has helped hundreds of buyers purchase homes and is well versed in down payment assistance opportunities, which is what we are going to talk to you about today. Charlemagne, why don't you give our listeners just a little bit of background about yourself and introduce yourself to them?
Okay. So thank you for allowing me to share this time with you, Miss Tiffany. You guys, Charmaine Armstrong, and she said 20 plus years, and I've actually helped thousands of families. It's like, wow, I'm like, where's the time gone? But when you really enjoy what you do, it just, it flies by. I'm having a blast. And I'm at the point now in my career where, I've helped parents, and now those parents are seeing their kids and even their grandkids. I've definitely helped many families secure generational wealth. So that's just one part. I'm a wife, a mother, now an author. So I have a new book, and I presented that last week. So I'm excited about that to try to help out with that home buying process, because there's so many things that people just don't know. Like, for example, should I go into a home that is staged? Or do I go into a home that's empty? I mean, I know that's the realtor's job, but a lot of times people think, well, will my furniture fit? And do I need to go get new furniture? And sometimes people will make that mistake of going into an empty home saying, this is it, and then going and applying for a furniture account in my process, or in their process. And it can really affect what happens. So I just try to talk about things that can catch a person up. And, always, we want to make sure that we're communicating the process and making sure that everybody is aware of the process, so that way it's a smooth closing.
Awesome. Well, so we are here to talk about down payment assistance, but towards the end, if people have questions, maybe that they've sent in, I'd like to be able to maybe get some of those answered. But let's just jump right into it. I don't make any assumptions. So since we're talking about down payment assistance, define down payment assistance for us.
Okay, so down payment assistance is a tool. I'm using it as a tool that many people use to help them secure their dream, which is purchasing a home. But I tell people that nothing is free, so and at this point in time, I tease and say if they could charge us for air right now, they figure it out, right? COVID-19, they would charge us for the air. And so that being said, down payment assistance is just that. It is a small piece. When people are trying to purchase, there are several different categories, and the way I like to break it down is, first category is going to be your down payment. Second category would be your escrow account, and your escrow account holds your taxes, your insurance, your per diem interest, and then you have your actual closing cost. So that assistance typically will cover on an FHA loan 3.5%, and there are grants and there are loans. Most of the grants out there require you to be under 80% of the AMI, and those numbers are very strict. And so if you do qualify for a grant, then you have what's called a deed restriction, where that person has to live in that home for a set amount of time. If they were to move out of that home before that time, they would have to pay back those funds. On the opposite end, if you qualify for what is called a loan, where they're going to loan the money to you at a higher interest rate, then you would be repaying those funds back while you're making your house payment.
Great. Now, you did answer some questions that we were going to get into a little bit later, so that's good. Perfect. So how does one qualify for down payment assistance? I mean, does the FICO score play a factor in one's ability to qualify? Is the debt to income ratio a factor?
That's a great question. So on a grant, the credit score has to at least be minimally in this marketplace. it needs to be at least a 600 with a grant. They could go lower, but the problem is that the discount that it would cost to close that loan would be so high, and the grant programs actually don't even allow for a discount. So that was something that would be a cost the seller would have to take on, and it would be pretty large. And that also on a grant, like I said, minimum score of at least a 600. The grant programs actually don't have a minimum FICO score requirement at all. So when people are out searching, I've been told that before. There's no minimum credit score requirement for a grant. That's correct. But since the grant is not lending the money, the grant can't set what the minimum credit score is. And so as the lender, that's where that comes into play. Then on a actual assistance program where they're going to loan you the money through the interest rate, because you have to accept a little bit of a higher interest rate, then you have to have a 660 credit score. So for example, a person with a 620 score today who was going to pay their own down payment could get a rate of 3.25. But if they elected to use down payment assistance, today that rate would be 3.75. So the rate does go up.
Wow. Okay. I learned something. Even I didn't have those details regarding down payment assistance. And so what that says to me, we had a call earlier today. I had an opportunity to speak with Walsh and Tierney on a call earlier. And so I'll be posting that link. And so it just kind of goes into having the right network of people, having lenders who understand down payment assistance for those buyers who may need that down payment assistance so that they can get into the home. And then having also realtor partners who have those relationships with lenders such as yourself, with title companies, just all the people that play a role in getting them to the next level, right? So great information. So what about the cities in DFW that offer down payment assistance? Who are they? I mean, I know Dallas obviously is one, but maybe some other cities that people may not even know about.
Okay, so there's a program that is through Dallas County, and it's called the UpCap program. Okay, and so with the UpCap program, it actually covers 13 cities within Dallas County. So, Wilmer, Lancaster, Cedar Hill, Duncanville, not DeSoto. DeSoto doesn't participate, but there's 13 cities that participate within Dallas County. And the UpCap program does not cover the city of Dallas, because the city of Dallas definitely does have its own program, which is the DHAP program. Then outside of that, the city of Irving has a program. The Grand Prairie has a program. Mesquite has a program. Arlington has a program. Fort Worth has a program. You name it, there's a program. But each one of them offers different amounts of assistance. So for example, UpCap is only $7,500, no matter how you slice it and dice it. But if they were going to go maybe to Arlington and purchase through the housing channel, if it was a new home, they could get up to $20,000. Fort Worth, you could get up to $20,000. Grand Prairie is $5,000. Irving, you can get up to 20. So the city of Dallas, there's no actual cap at all. So I've had people get $45,000 through the city of Dallas. And then those programs can actually be used with some of the others, so that some of them do allow for them to be layered. So for example, one program that I absolutely love, it does not help with their down payment, but it helps them with their tax liability over the life of the loan. And that is called a mortgage credit certificate program. So with that program, they can use it with any of those programs that we just named, but it will give them up to $60,000 tax credit over the life of their loan. So,
Wow.
and that's a really, 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 really awesome program. And like I said, so if a person gets, let's say through the city of Arlington, Hallington, they get $20,000 to assist with the down payment, and they get that additional 60 over the life loan, that's $80,000 just for doing what you do. You're going to pay your mortgage, which is going to be beneficial because you're investing in yourself versus paying your landlord's mortgage. And sometimes people buy homes and rent them out, and they rent you a house that they got assistance with to purchase. So you're just, people lose out in so many ways by not really just taking that step.
Right. Well, and you did kind of answer one of the questions that we had regarding if down payment assistance covers. And so understanding that, down payment assistance, it may or it may not cover 100% of closing costs, right? Because I think people don't understand that there is a difference between down payment and closing costs, and you need both of those when you get to the closing table, when it's all said and done, right? So should buyers be prepared to put something toward their closing costs?
Yes. And the only reason why we say that is if the seller is unwilling to assist, then it definitely does fall back on the person purchasing the home. So and there's another down payment assistance program, I just named it that myself. And it's called your 401k or your IRA. A lot of people don't know that with the CARES Act, it actually required that these corporations that were holding this money and saying, hey, we're going to collect money out of your paycheck and we're going to collect the interest off of that, and we're going to give you some of that interest, but we're also going to take our percentage for managing that and grow this portfolio. Through the CARES Act, they said that had to be opened up. So they couldn't tell a person that they could not get out what they put in. So for people who have their 401ks that they thought, oh, well, I already took a loan out before, I can't take anything, the CARES Act removed that, I've had people who call me back and say, oh my God, I didn't know that. Like I had a gentleman yesterday that I pre-qualified. He goes, I got to have down payment assistance. He called me literally 5 days ago. I told him what to do. I took his credit score from a 600 to a 636, and he has $5,000. I said, do me a favor, call your 401k because you can take out. He goes, I don't know, they won't. I said, yes. He called. He goes, they told me I have $6,000. I can take $6,000. And he only wanted a $220,000 house. So guess what? He got his $220,000 approval. His down payment was only $7,700. Seller, the agent was able to negotiate the closing costs. He's happy, So it's his payment is cheaper because of that. Because I always say it's a good investment if you're investing in yourself, meaning you're putting back money in that 401k, it's awesome. And if you take money out of that 401k, it definitely needs to be for reinvestment and one that's going to make sense and definitely yield you equity and earnings, and that's the real estate.
So question with regard to the CARES Act, did it change? Because I know for mortgage purposes, that's always been available, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it was available without any penalty, and that perhaps is the change from what used to be versus what folks have access to today through their 401k and IRAs when it comes to purchasing real estate.
Right. So most 401ks are set up to where you can take out a hardship and you could take out a loan, and then you would be at your max, right? Well, with the CARES Act, they removed you needing to have a reason to take money out, meaning you would not have to prove that it was a hardship. And then if there was a tax liability, meaning you're taking it out before time, you could take that tax liability and spread it out over 3 years.
Does that also apply to 403B? So I know like those individuals that are in the education system, they don't necessarily have a 401k. They have a 401k equivalent, which is a 403B.
Correct.
Does it apply to that as well?
So if you are not, if the school district or the district that you actually teach in is actually putting those funds in there for you and you are not putting anything into that, then no, you could not get access to that because technically that would be the district's money, okay? But if you have a plan that you are actually putting money into, whatever you put into that plan, you would have access to per the CARES Act.
Gotcha. So, okay,
don't apply or have a separate plan, right?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Some do, but the majority do not, so then they would not have access.
Right. Gotcha.
So I look at you had a question that was not on the question list.
Yeah, absolutely right. So we already talked about down payment assistance can be a grant or it can be a loan. So that in and of itself would mean that a grant, obviously, and this is just to reiterate what you previously said, a grant obviously is something that you don't have to pay back. A loan obviously is something that you do have to pay back. And if I understand correctly, if you have to pay it back, the way that it's paid back is through the interest rate.
Right.
Is that right?
Right. But with that program with that you have to have that 660 score, if you make 3 years of on-time payments, which when you break it down math-wise, if you make three years of on-time payments, depending on your income, that those money that you receive would be forgivable, but technically it's forgiven because you paid it back through the higher interest rate. But you know, the interest rate stays the same, but that actual lump sum of money would be quote unquote forgiven because it is a second lien. And it was a little confusing that people think, okay, well, I have the first lien with this higher interest rate. They do create that second lien. Let's say that second lien is for $5,500. Your first lien is going to be at that higher interest rate. And that second lien is sitting there with 0 interest. So at any time that you do not make a payment on time, then that's, you know, let's say you sell the house 2 years later, even though you've been paying that higher payment, you still have to pay back that $5,500.
Gotcha. So I guess the thought process there is to just whatever the requirements are, meet the requirement before you decide to make a move. But more importantly, making sure that you're making the payment on time.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So what advice would you give to first-time home buyers who don't know where to start?
Ooh, that's a good one. I always say that when you start, you have to really put a price on what it is that your goal is, you know, because I always teach people and say, what is your ideal house payment besides free, right? You know, when we take free out of it, what are we really working with?
Right.
Seriously, I tell, you know, only a third of people who decide that they want to buy a home can actually buy a home and keep their payment where they want it. And that's because they don't have the capital. They don't have the liquidity to actually pay down enough to make that payment where they want it, you know. So that's again, put a dollar amount on it. Like I had someone yesterday where they were negotiating a contract and they, you know, they offered $250 and then the seller came back and said, all right, I want $254. And the person's like, well, I don't know if I want to offer $254. And it's like, okay, so my advice was all the things that they felt was so awesome about that house. Let's say the garage, let's say the kitchen, let's say the dishwasher. I said, you know, whatever that is worth for you dollar-wise, if it's $20, then put $20 next to it. And when they sat down and did the math, it's like, okay, well, even if we go ahead and increase the price, what we felt the value was definitely met. And so you definitely have to say, okay, I'm investing in myself. So since I'm investing in myself, I have to put value into what I'm signing up for. And sometimes it will be a little tight, you know, in the beginning until you adjust.
I agree. And just some advice that I would give first time home buyers as a realtor is,
Right.
the first step is always to let's partner you with a lender. Because if we don't know, if we can't go out and truly look at homes if we don't know, what the price point is. We may and we did one of the worst things you can do as a realtor is show someone something that's outside of their reach, right? And so we want to make sure that everybody has a successful home purchase and be realistic and set realistic expectations. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we are giving them the tools to be successful, right? And that's going to start with ensuring that they have the right information, that they have the knowledge that they need to be successful.
Correct.
In any
And I always, a good rule of thumb for making sure that they know how much they can qualify for, I always tell people to take their gross income annually and times that by 3. That'll let a family know what they could afford with what I call moderate to average debt. Let's say they got a car payment. Let's say they got a couple of credit cards. They may even have some student loans. A person with moderate to average debt could afford a house that would be 3 times their income. So for example, if a combined family made $100,000 a year, they should be able to qualify for a $300,000 home comfortably. It doesn't mean that they have to purchase that much house, but that just gives them a good idea. And then if they are not if there are low to moderate credit users, maybe they don't have any debt at all, or maybe a small credit card, then they can usually stretch to 4 times. So let's say a family that has $100,000 worth of income combined and they have 1 credit card, then they could purchase $400,000 very easily. So it really just depends on what that family's debt is and whether or not they can go from 3 to that 4 times their income.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that our listeners should know about down payment assistance programs and the requirements once they are approved?
Well,
that we haven't already covered.
We haven't already covered. I would say that that you definitely want to read the, just read the fine print and make sure that you're aware of because each program is set up a little bit differently. And as the lender, we offer them, but we're not the facilitator of them. So it's really important to read the paperwork that's given to you by the down payment assistance program, because your lien to the lender is totally separate than that requirement to that assistance program. Because a lot of times people think that they are truly combined, while we will, most of the assistance programs work simultaneously with us as the lender, but that money at the end for the assistance comes from that third party.
Awesome. Well, Charlamagne, I definitely just want to thank you for taking some time out of your busy day. I know that you are a busy woman. Listen, anybody that has to have more than 1 cell phone to me is busy. I am not there yet, right? I am still using that same one. But I just want to thank you and just appreciate you for taking the time out to talk to us about down payment assistance and set some expectations around what that looks like. Okay. There's a lot of money out there. To be had. And so buyers listening, future buyers, future, homeowners listening, give us a call. You can reach me. You can message me. You can email me. My contact information is available. I'll leave it in the link below, but get at me if you're ready to take the next step, if you are ready to begin to build equity and an asset as opposed to paying money into your landlord pocketbook. Let's stop that today.
And I want to add that if they want a copy, I just asked one of my family members to bring me a copy of my book. I thought I had it right here. Yeah, that's right. You guys, they're going to get a chance to see my son. See, there he is. if they would like to get a copy of my book, they can reach out to me. You see, look at that. There, well, is it straight up? Oh, there we go. There we go. So if they would like to get a copy of the book and get some information, they can reach out to me, Charlamagne Armstrong. My email address is carmstrong@goldfinancial.com, or they can call me 214-738-4913.
And Charlamagne, my hat is off to you. Awesome job for writing a book. It's been such a crazy last couple of weeks. I have been kind of unplugged in a way, but I just want to applaud you for. I think that's a great thing that you're giving back in that way, and people can actually support you in that. So I'll make sure that there's a link to your book, for your Facebook page, so that people can get with you and get a copy of that book. Awesome. Well, that's all, folks. If you have other questions, feel free to message me. We're happy to jump on live again to answer any of those questions. Stay safe, stay well, and use wisdom out there. Thank you, and have a great rest of the afternoon.
Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in.